Oh, okay. Just before I get going here, obviously we got another road trip coming up here. And with all the with everything's going on right now, the road trips become even more complicated. It makes it's tough to travel with these conditions we're under right now. So, our kids got to do a great job again this week. As far as the way we travel, way we attack the visiting hotel, all the above. So, leadership's so important when you go on the road, as well as toughness. I thought we handled that well a week ago, and we got to do the same thing this week. So that'll be our captains this week. Will be Beckett, of course, on defense, who's been a captain multiple times because of the way he plays and the way he leads. Also, Kobe Cumberlander is back for a second time for the same reason. And on offense, we have Sheldon Evans, who's been that every week because of respect he has of his teammates, and Josh Ball for being a first-time captain for us on offense as well. So, excuse me, those guys, along with everybody else, will have to do a great job. Obviously, I don't know if you all have. I've never been to La Tech. I've never been to that stadium there. Played them several times, but hadn't had the opportunity to be there. So, excuse me, it'll be a great challenge for us. Skip has been very consistent, the whole time he's been there. He's always has his teams well prepared, and when you're located where he's located, you're going to have tremendous athletes. I think he's got two of the guys he had in the secondary a year ago are both starting in the NFL. So you look at those guys, and they got the same type of guys back right now at the skill positions, as well as that offensive line may be as big offensive line as we'll face all year. So it's going to be a great challenge for us, and one that we got to be a great job this week preparing for.
Doc, it'll be different. This will be your first game where you've played back-to-back. You've done a nice job adjusting to the schedule. This will be 2 in a row.
Yeah, no question. Like I say, it's hard to play on the road regardless. And now you add everything we're adding to it as far as travel goes, and not just the travel part of it, but how you have to travel. That's what I'm talking about. And to go into a road, and you had a bus trip. Once you get there, you got a lot of things that are involved. So, our kids have got to handle it the right way. For the first 3 games, been very, very pleased with the way they've played, the consistency they played with, and the way they showed up. And this week can't be any different.
You look at Josh Ball becoming a captain for the first time, and you look back at Saturday's film, and it seemed like every single running play he was finishing somebody, he was cleaning somebody up. Is that sort of one of those measures that you look for along those offensive linemen? Is you've got to play till the whistle and you've got to finish your blocks well?
Well, I thought our offensive line were challenged this week. They had the defensive player of the year a year ago lined up against them every snap. Also, the preseason player of the year picked to be that this year. At Western Kentucky's front. Western Kentucky was a defense that's had a lot of success. So I thought that offensive line was challenged. I thought they responded well. And this week will be no different. Not just Josh, but the entire offensive line has played very consistent the first 3 games, and it's going to be critical that they play that way again on Saturday.
Coach, the last time you were 3-0 was 2014. Do you notice any similarities from that 2014 team to this team here?
Yeah, we got some good players. I mean, we had good, players on both teams. I think, we're getting good play out of our quarterback position, which it takes to end up being 3-0 at this point. But, I like the leadership. I think these kids are holding each other accountable, just like that team did. And, you got a shot. Now, there's so many other variables involved right now with this year. We're into game 4, and I feel like it's game 12. That's kind of what we're dealing with right now. I'm sure you all are dealing with the same type of thing. So, this year there's just so many other things that are thrown into it that it's hard to sit back and just kind of enjoy what's happening, because things change every hour. With what we're having to deal with. So, we'll deal with it and work to get better.
Doc, is this the fastest defense that you've had since being a Marshall? Going back and looking at Saturday's film, there were a couple plays, Pitts chasing down a quarterback from the opposite hash, and a couple plays really stood out as the team speed on that defense being exceptional.
Well, I think we can run. I do think we have some guys that can run defensively, but we've had guys that can run. Got a lot of guys, Neville Hewitts of the world, and those defenses. We've had some really good defenses around here over the years, and that's where it all starts. Any team that I've ever been a part of, and we challenge our team. If you're going to have a really, really good team, it starts with playing great defense. That's where it all starts. And you look around the country right now, and there's not a lot of defense being played at a lot of places. And fortunately for us, Brad and JC and that defensive staff have done a great job, and that defense is going to be the key every week. That's where it all starts, and they're going to have to play well against a very talented, La Tech team. Skip does a great job calling plays, and you look at them, they're playing two different quarterbacks. The one played against us a year ago. Allen played a year ago, and he's got a lot of potential. They got a grad transfer in there from a year ago. So there'll be a challenge for us, and our defense, as always, is going to.
You look at UTEP was day in Saturday against La Tech, using pressure, getting after the quarterbacks with their defensive front, and really attacking La Tech's offensive line. Is that something that you all see as a strength for you all coming in this week? Is your all's defensive line against their O line?
Well, I don't know. Like I say, it's going to be a great matchup. I mean, there's big offensive line as we've faced all year, maybe will the rest of the year, and they're a talented bunch that. UTEP's probably one of the most improved teams in our conference this year. I mean, if you look at them defensively, they've done a great job recruiting, and they got some really good players up front, and they played well, defensively at times. So it's going to be every game we play is going to be a challenge, and this will be no different.
Doc, you often talk of starting fast. Is it a sign of the maturity of this team? I think you've opened every game with a opening drive score. What's that mean to you, especially on the road? And is that a focus, maturity kind of thing?
Well, it's a focus for us, Keith. We want to, we try to start fast every game we play. whether it be offense or defense or whoever, kickoff return, whatever phase is out there. And fortunately for us, we've been able to do that. And I thought early on, and the kids make plays. It's all about the players. I'm sure you guys had the opportunity to watch that first play we had last week against, what a great throw and a great catch. I mean, it took two players in that situation just to make a play, and that's what it's all about. And then, of course, Knox and the offensive line take it the next play, and Knox finishes it and gets into the end zone. So there's no doubt that, when you could start fast and try to set the tone for the game, it sure helps you. And, we talk about that every week, whether it be offense, defense, special teams, whatever. And, we want to start fast, and we also talk about being the best team on the field in all three phases. We've done that for 3 games, and that's what it'll come down to against this. Again this week is who's the best team on the field that particular day in all 3 phases. And for the first 3, that's been us, and we got to work really hard to make sure that happens again.
You mentioned Beckett being a captain, and I'm sure it was nice to see him finally get into the end zone, being a defensive player, but. For him, second time this season, he's Conference Defensive Player of the Week. What does he really bring to your defense that maybe you haven't had in the past?
Energy. I mean, he plays with a lot of energy. He plays fast. He's a good player. If you want to talk about a linebacker that, what they're supposed to look like, that's him. I mean, whenever that ball's snapped, he finds a way to go get it, and he's always around it. And he's just, he's a good football player, or not. He's a great football player, and he's taking on new roles as far as leadership is concerned, holding other kids accountable and doing some things that great players do. And I'm glad, he's assumed that role, and happy he's on our side.
You look at La Tech, and Justin Henderson is a guy that was among the leaders in rushing last year and returns to that offense. How much do you all have to key on him, just because he does seem to be a dual threat back, catching balls out of the backfield and being a pretty good runner?
Well, no question. Of course, they got Tucker and Garner. They play as well. They play a lot of backs, and anytime you play a game, and we've been able to do this, is you got to stop the run, and that's where it all starts. And if you look at the last several weeks, or all 4 weeks, 3 weeks that we've played, we've done a great job of stopping the run and trying to force people into being one-dimensional, and we've been able to do that. So, anytime you line up against, especially this team, they're going to try to run the football as well, and we got to try to find a way to get that stop. It'll be a challenge because he's a tremendous back.
Speaking of they bring in 2 quarterbacks. You mentioned Allen has been playing a lot, and Luke Anthony, who led the comeback against Southern Miss for them too. Does that make it more difficult for a defense, just trying to hone in on what situations they like which quarterback and trying to prepare for 2?
Well, I think it does if they're totally different, but they're not totally different. They're similar with what they try to do with both of them. Allen may have a bit more quarterback runs in him, that type of thing, but both of them are very capable of making all the throws and very capable of running the football. So you don't see them change a whole lot as far as their offensive scheme goes when they substitute those guys in. And there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason of why they put them in when they do, because they both play in critical situations in the game. So I'm sure, Skip's got confidence in both those guys, and he's not afraid to play both of them, in all games.
Like you said, you've never been to La Tech, but does it take some time when you go to a new place to get adjusted, or at this point, since everything's so different anyway, it really doesn't matter. Everything's a business trip.
Different. I mean, like I say, it was a 4.5, 5 hours to get to Western. So it's probably about the same to get to, La Tech, whether it be a plane ride or a bus trip or whatever. So, our kids have done a great job of handling that. And we got to do the same thing, this week.
Have you guys at all determined the mode of transportation? Is it a bus trip? Is it a plane ride? Do we know yet?
Well, hopefully it's a plane ride. My ass sits on a bus for 12 hours. That's not going to be a good thing. So right now it's a plane ride unless things change between now and Friday morning, but hopefully they don't. Maybe both. It's crazy what's going on right now. I mean, half the people may be on buses and the rest of us may be on planes. So, we just got to try to figure it all out. And seriously, that's kind of what's happening right now. So, we'll see when decisions are made. But I know if there's a plane going, I'm going to be on it, and those players are going to be on it.